Hi, I'm Dan Mack. Welcome to FeeFiFoFilm. This is a YouTube channel I created exclusively for Geek Sundry in order to review movies. I'm an aspiring filmmaker here in Los Angeles, and I've loved movies all my life. And nothing's better to a film geek than to have somebody bring you one of those little hidden gems that you didn't know about. So I created this channel to specifically bring to you, the Geek Sundry audience, science fiction and fantasy films that you might not have known about. There's a really great sword and sorcery film from 1965 called The Warlord. The Warlord follows the exploits of a Norman warlord named Chrysagon de la Crue, played by Charlton Heston. That's right, Charlton Heston is in a sword and sorcery movie.
You can have this scenery when you pry it from my cold dead mouth.
Chrysagon takes up his new post in a kind of a druidic swamp on the north shore of what is modern-day France, and takes charge over kind of a druidic people, a bunch of serfs, that have a terrible problem with Frisian raiders. These are kind of a Germanic Viking people that come by ship, and they take slaves, and they pillage, and they burninate the village. Trogdor! Enter Bronwyn, who is the namesake, incidentally, of my Dwarven Paladin character back in my old World of Warcraft days. Bronwyn is kind of a mysterious druidic character and spellbinds Chrysagon. Mark has plied his troth to Bronwyn, and their impending nuptials come to the attention of Chrysagon, who, as Lord of the Land, officiates over all of these things. So, on the night of the wedding, Chrysagon, in order to deal with his obsession, shows up at the ceremony, and he takes his rite of primus noctum, which is the rite of first night, the rite of the Lord to sleep with the bride on her wedding night. Pretty soon you've got heartbreak and betrayal and revenge, and the whole thing disintegrates into a massive war that features some of the best protracted siege footage ever shot on film. I'm talking about sappers and siege engines and catapults and siege towers, battering rams. And if you watch really carefully, you're going to recognize a lot of inspirations for modern things like the Siege of Minas Tirith in Return of the King. Lots of parallels to how things are shot and the way combat goes. It's admittedly cheesier. It's a 1965 film. There's things like ADR dialogue where the same actor plays 3 different voice characters, or people who die from arrows that bounce off their chest. Other than that, it's a really amazing film. There are a lot of great supporting characters and actors like Richard Boone, who plays Boors. Chrysagon also has a younger brother named Draco, who's kind of a jealous popinjay. But maybe the coolest character in the film is Chrysagon's 4-story Norman tower sitting on the edge of a lake. This was built by Universal Studios in their backlot and survived until 2001, when it was demolished to make the Nickelodeon Blast Zone. Way to trade down, guys. But this tower is super cool. It's been my inspiration forever for everything from, the domiciles of my characters in first edition D&D to my current Minecraft campaign where I build towers all the time. But maybe the coolest thing about the film is the film's magic. You see, I said it's a sword and sorcery film, but there's no actual magic in the film. What there is a lot of Christian crusader piety and pagan superstition. And you see these things where odd coincidences happen and people are all afraid of things and they get it in their head and they kind of make these self-fulfilling prophecies of magic that aren't really happening but have huge effects over their lives, which is a really cool thing I haven't seen in any other piece of fantasy. In fact, probably the only negative thing I can say about the film is that it's really hard to find these days. I checked iTunes, it can't be downloaded, Barnes & Noble doesn't carry it. The only place I've been able to find it is Amazon, where a $10 DVD is actually going for over $60 just because of the rarity of the film. But if you can get your hands on The Warlord, I highly recommend it if you love sword and sorcery, if you love medieval combat, and if you're not so in love with modern handheld camera shakery and CGI fakery that you can't deal with old school analog effects and stunts. The Warlord is worth the Knights Errant quest it's going to take you to actually find it and be able to see it. And if you do, something to kill some time until that next season of Game of Thrones.
Ooh. Well, so much for anyone claiming primus noctum at this wedding.
So, if you've seen The Warlord before, leave a comment, let me know if you like the film. If you've watched it on my recommendation, I'm really anxious to see if you liked it or not. And if you have any ideas for future films you'd like to see on FeeFiFoFilm, little gems that I might not know about, leave them in the comments and maybe I'll do a review on them. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on FeeFiFoFilm.